Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. Today, I would like to share with you the January 2020 Wisdom Roadmap. I typically share this in my website, in my inner circle. But this month, I'm sharing it so that I can, first of all, give you heads up about what lies ahead in 2020. And so, I really want to go on ahead and do my best to help people out. So thank you to the Inner Circle members for being so gracious in sharing this wisdom with the public. There was a live webinar that I did earlier, and I realized when I shared it on YouTube, when I uploaded it to YouTube, it didn't upload the slides. It just uploaded the video part from the app that I use. So I'm re-recording it so that those of you who are in YouTube world can see everything that is included. So if you don't know me, my name is Tyra Omilade. I am a priestess of the Sacred Feminine Mysteries, which is a goddess tradition. And I am a priestess of Yemoja, initiated into the Orisha tradition of Ifa. More than anything, I consider myself to be a wisdom sharer. And my goal is to share wisdom to help people step fully on their path to self-realization, self-mastery, Iwa Pele, and their destiny. More than anything, I want people to be successful. I want people to feel empowered, and I realize the power of the oracles. And my goal is to show you today the power of the oracles in navigating the first installment of 2020. 2020 has 12 installments, which are the 12 months of 2020. So let's talk about the first installment today, because it's all about planning for January 2020 so that you can master it. You may see me go through a few slides because this is now just being recorded. I don't have anybody in the webinar with me. I will post a link in the description box where you can get the journal and these slides. So 2020 is a year of endings, beginnings, restructuring. And it's a time where we may feel very much out of our comfort zone. We feel like there's a lot of change happening. And the key, especially when we're using oracles, is to understand, we may feel out of sorts, off balance, depending on, where you are in your personal cycle. But you don't want to miss the opportunities due to the flux. Flux makes people change, makes people want to turn around and go back, but we do not have time for that. 2020 is not a year for moving backwards. It's a year for moving forwards. So we have the big picture of 2020, and for that, game planning is key. And what I'll do is help you game plan for January. And we need to game plan because first and foremost, maybe you need a healing. And so you can find out during that time, what is it that you need to heal? What days are best for healing? As well as putting together a strategy. Like I said, it's a very intense month. It's a pivotal month. The entire year is. And so when you put together a strategy and a plan, it will help you move forward towards your goals. So what we have to remember is that Capricorn is one of the main themes of January 2020, as well as all of 2020. And it's about operating from our power, having patience, following the plan, having structures changing, putting structure in place, timing, cycles. Capricorn is also energy where we can get stuck. It shows us where we are stuck, and it can make things get stuck for us. It's also about old traditions. Capricorn likes old traditions. So this is a time where some of us can be connected to old traditions. And Capricorn is also a sign that brings up our fears. So when I talk about Capricorn in this webinar, it's not so much Capricorns, the people, it's Capricorn, the energy. Also, something that I think I realized in that first meeting that I did today is that I am using the tropical zodiac. So if you're using Vedic or, sidereal, you may be like, what's going on? This does not add up. But I'm using tropical for the zodiac. So January in a nutshell, you really need to see the big picture. If you can see the big picture, then you won't be thrown off with certain energies. But you can also begin to piece each day together towards that big picture. It's also about doing the hard work, because that's what Capricorn is about, doing the hard work. And January is just setting the tone for 2020, which is about doing the hard work as well as embracing change. So just to kind of give you an overview for what we will look at today, I look at the Metu Oracle, which is an ancient Egyptian or Kemetic oracle. Pathways Oracle, it's about pathways into the soul and out of the soul. So for that is joy and isolation for Metu Ma'at negative, Sebeka Tep, and I'll talk about those. The Odu is Obara. The Odu are from the ancient Ifa tradition, the wisdom matrices. It's the wisdom that guides us. As far as the Astro wisdom, the month is energetic and it's pivotal. We have a lunar eclipse. We have 5 planets in Capricorn at the start of the month. There's actually several planets changing sign during January. And though we start off the month in Capricorn, we end solidly in Aquarius. And lastly, there is a rare occurrence of 2 planets coming together. One is Saturn and the other is Pluto. And so they'll be at the same degree. And so this month is the beginning of, basically, it's the ending of one cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. Capricorn and Saturn are about cycles. So how timely. So looking at Ma'at is about the big picture. And that's something that we've talked about for this month. But Ma'at is speaking in the negative. And so Ma'at is saying we may not exactly see the big picture. We may be lost. We may have stinking thinking. We may be focused on the small things that happen and lose sight of the vision. So it's important for us in January to have or to be able to see the big picture. Part of seeing the big picture is being able to forgive. It's important for us to forgive. Lack of forgiveness could be messing up being able to see the big picture. Lack of forgiveness could be creating a lot of, it's tying up our energy and we're stuck. And so in January, you may find yourself coming face to face with, do you want to forgive? It's also about living in alignment with truth. And so with my speaking in the negative, it could be people aren't living truth. They're living a lie. And truth is also about what is the higher divine law. And so it could be people are not consciously living according to the divine laws of the universe. It's also a time for us to have unconditional love. And more than anything, we need to have unconditional love for ourselves. What ends up happening is when we have love for ourselves, it's easier to have unconditional love for other people. So I really encourage yourself this month to stop beating up on yourself and to love yourself. And another biggie for my eye is it's important to release judgment of others. Because when we're judging other people, again, our energy is tied up into something that has nothing to do with our destiny. It doesn't have anything to do with us moving forward. So I encourage you to release judgment of others and instead turn that energy in and, do something creative. Ma'at is intelligent energy. So instead of judging others, use that energy to expand yourself, to find a solution perhaps that you're looking for. Also, Ma'at is, her mental state is optimistic and it's grounded in faith. And so that's what we should be striving for this month. We should notice when we're not being optimistic and when we lack faith. And we should be moving ourselves in the direction of optimism and having faith. Now, this month, this energy will most easily manifest because Mars is in Sagittarius. It moves into Sagittarius on the 3rd. So, yeah, I really encourage you to open yourself up to the Sagittarius energy. Think about your goals. Stop being distracted. And allow yourself to expand beyond where you currently are. Then we have Sebek. Now, Sebek is actually the opposite 180 from Ma'at. Sebek is about paying attention to the fine detail. Ma'at spoke in the negative, which doesn't mean the reading is negative. It just means that it's there's blocks and challenges. So when you see a tap, the way is open. And Sebek is about mindset. It's about communication, mental health, being detail-oriented, as well as having a daily schedule, daily routines. And so one of the things that I'm telling people to do to apply this Sebek energy is to think about, because it's about the details, to think about when you're feeling negative about where you are, think about the big picture. Yeah, things may not be well in this moment, but Sebek will say, don't you remember when you thought things weren't going to work out and they did in your favor? Or don't you remember when you thought nobody cared about you and somebody, called you out of the clear blue? Sebek can help us recall details that are actually beneficial and, bring up the ability to have an optimistic mindset. So do that. Remember the details of the good things to help you see the big picture. Another thing that's really important is to follow a daily schedule and routines. If you don't have one, you really need to come up with that. You will need that for 2020, and it'll help keep you centered and grounded. You also want to pay attention to the fine details, which it should be easy because Mercury it's the same energy as Sebek. It's in Capricorn and Aquarius. It's more grounded mental energy. So we should be able to see the fine details. And we're needing to do affirmations. We're needing to make sure that we remove the negative stinking thinking and replace it with affirmative thoughts. Challenge all the negative thoughts that come to your mind. You want to avoid being negative and nagging, and avoid don't miss the forest for the trees. And it's like this month we could be on either end. We could see the forest and feel so overwhelmed that we don't even know where to start. That's really what I think is going to happen. We see the forest of January of 2020, and it's so overwhelming. We don't know what to do. And so, we don't do anything. Well, Sebek is saying, just take baby steps, one little step at a time. What can you do? This is not a time to stay stuck in your stumble. This is not a time to not move. And it's definitely not a time to move back. I'd say hold your ground before moving back, okay? But we can all think of what's one thing I can do today that I know will move me more in the direction of where I want to go. And also do things to keep your nervous system settled. Deep breathing. In the meeting this morning, someone mentioned yoga. Also, a Sebekian thing to do would be to go take a walk. That's actually a really good way to settle your nervous system. So then the next one that we want to look at is pathways out. So it's pathways out of the soul, pathways into the soul. And pathways out is isolation. And again, this Capricorn energy could have us feeling a bit isolated. It's cold and contracting energy. And this is a time where a lot of us may, because its endings are on the horizon, we may feel like we're different or we don't feel a connection. And so the next thing we know, we're finding ourselves more and more in isolation and we're not feeling supported. We're feeling sad, we're feeling depressed, we're having anxiety. Well, for the pathways out of the soul with isolation, it's very important for us to make a connection, even if it's just waving at our neighbors or talking to people at the grocery store, while we're waiting in line, finding small ways to make a connection. Because when we're connected with other humans, especially in positive interactions, what ends up happening is it helps to breathe life into us. It raises our connection to our life force energy. So seek to make connection, even if it's a small connection, like someone says, hey, let's go get some coffee or go to lunch or something like that. So I encourage you to do that. And also, you want to seek to make a connection. Take small steps based on love and hope to shift your day-to-day routines. Because if your day-to-day routines have you so caught up that you're not making connections, then you need to change those so that it starts putting you in the path of other people. And we're not just in survival mode, okay? So that's really important for you. Make connections with others. The other thing is pathway into the soul is joy. I encourage you all to up your level of joy. This is the second month this is spoken. So seek to experience the state of being of joy, in joy. And, do things that are creative. One of the things that I talked about this month is having gratitude. Or this morning, when I asked everyone to type in something that they were grateful for, I was just reading what they were grateful for. And it was this big shift just happened in my spirit. I felt so good, so amazing and grateful. And I didn't list anything, I just read there what they were grateful for. So gratitude actually opens up our ability to experience joy. And when we're in a joyful place, it puts us in the position to receive. When we're in a joyful place, it puts us in a position to see a solution that we perhaps could not see. So we need to seek to experience more joy and also connecting. I say even connect to your pet, to the children in your lives. The more we have connection, that will help to increase and amplify joy, as well as having a vision, a positive vision for our lives. A lot of us are focused on that negative vision, but having a positive vision for our lives will greatly benefit us. So also for Meridian Lagoon, Obara. So Obara is the same energy as Shango, Haru. And it's about living according to choice. One of the things I'm talking about, y'all, is we got to understand we chose to be here. We didn't just get dropped out of heaven, all right? The stork didn't just fly and drop us off at Mama and them's house, Daddy and them's front door. That's not how it worked. We chose to be here at this time. And so we need to accept responsibility for where we are, because the good news is where I find myself today, if I can put myself here, I can put myself in another place. This is something we need to remember. And that comes from taking responsibility, which is what Capricorn is largely about. Also, for the month of January, I encourage everybody to look at one ego construct that you can move past, that you can loose and step into truth. Okay, that's very important. Also, Obara speaks to freedom. And I want you to understand that when you live by choice, you will feel free. Okay. Even if you're like, you know what, I'm choosing to stay in this crappy situation because it's what I need to do right now. I won't be here forever, but as a part of my strategy, because that's Obara of Shango, is about strategy, I will stay here. And you feel so much more empowered. See, 2020 is about us feeling empowered. 2020 won't go well for you if you're feeling disempowered. It's your opportunity to step into your power, okay? And some of our power comes from choice. Work-life balance is also indicated because there's so much hard work going on when Capricorn is in effect that we have to tell ourselves, look, you need to take a break. Capricorns can be workaholics. So I encourage everybody to make sure that they rest, work, rest, okay? You have to balance this thing out. Excuse me. Also, Obara says think clearly before taking action so as to not make mistakes, which is basically don't operate from your emotions, don't operate from your conditionings in a rash and hasty way, because then you might end up like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. And it's worse than when we started. Alrighty. So let's look at January. As you can see, I call it January Capricorn shenanigans because there's some shenanigans going on with Capricorn. So again, Capricorn will be highlighted all year. It's an intense start in January with 5 planets in Capricorn. We have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, along with the South Node in K2. That's a lot. That's a lot. The way my teacher explains it is, it's like having 5 radios in one room and they're all on. So people born with a lot of planets in Capricorn, jeez. And the South Node is all about releasing and letting go. So the other thing is we enter into January under the influence of the December 26th Capricorn, solar eclipse. Also, the other thing that's going to happen in January is Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury all go invisible. So Jupiter is invisible in December through the end of January. Saturn and Mercury go invisible closer to the end. It's around the 20th, 21st of January. So these planets lose power when they go invisible. They're close to the sun, so you can't see them. And from our vantage point. And so this makes the work more internal. January is going to feel like you're working on you more than anything. Even though you may be feeling like you're out working on your goals and objectives, you feel really motivated. A lot of this internal shift is going to happen internally. So let's just talk about what is Capricorn about. It's about the earth. It's an earth sign, and it's about material manifestation, success, tradition, and earth signs are about manifesting though. So that's just how it is with Capricorn. Capricorn wants to succeed. Capricorn wants to make that cha-ching. And also earth signs like stability. Okay. And it's a cardinal sign. So the signs that are cardinal means they get things started. So, excuse me. Though Capricorn is sometimes about not changing, it actually wants to succeed. So it will get some stuff going so it can move. Okay. So these are the things that we may find. Something about success, making money, stability, as well as getting things started. This is what Capricorn is about. It's about having structure, doing the hard work, being practical. These are all things that we need to remember. This is what we're working with in January, really all of 2020. It's also about the karma, So what you reap, you sow. And a lot of times Capricorn will show you by showing you what you are reaping. So if you've been working hard, sowing seed, you will find that Capricorn will show you, that you've been the fruits of your hard work, and vice versa. The thing that I do think people need to remember is that these planets being invisible, we may feel like things are not going right, but don't worry. Once they become visible again, it'll be so much better. Okay. So just stick with it. Keep moving forward. Don't turn around no matter what. Don't think you're failing. Nothing. Because trust me, you're going to be making some progress as long as you're working with this energy. Capricorn is also about following the rules. It's about achievement, discipline, tradition. It's a great sign for business. So I really think people who have businesses will feel like this is a very productive, profitable time. Even if they don't see profits yet, they're going to be putting structures in place that lead them to being profitable. It's about cycles. I'm big on people understanding the cycles, because if you're in cycle A, but you're over here working in cycle B, it's not going to work. You're going to think you're failing, but it's not that you're failing. You're in cycle B. I mean, you're supposed to be in cycle A, but you're working on something that is not time for yet. And Capricorn is about that. And it's also about having patience. This is one of the ways that Capricorn wins. Capricorn wins because it's patient enough to stick and stay until the end. And what you gain in Capricorn, you keep forever. It has long-term profitability. You keep it forever. So we see what Capricorn is about. And so now let's look at be there. So the sun, it illuminates, and it also shows us what we have the will to do. We have control over this thing. And so it will give us an opportunity to choose how to apply Capricorn in our lives. Okay. So the sun goes there on the 21st of December. And then Mercury, our minds and our conversations will be on Capricornian themes. And so, a lot of us spiritual people, we kind of push back against what we perceive to be materialism, capitalism. But I am one who's learning that doesn't work. It doesn't feel good to be financially unstable. It doesn't feel good to work hard and not, really make any money to survive. I think that we need to accept that there's that time when it's about working on material stability. Now, how much you make, that's different. But everybody deserves to be materially gainful so that they live a stable life. So don't push back on these material things that are asking you to embrace making more money. Capricorn is a cha-ching sign. It's about making that money. It's just what it is. It's not bad. It's just what it is. And we all have Capricorn in us, right? So work with the energy of Capricorn if you need to be getting a little more materially stable. Okay. Jupiter and Capricorn. Now Jupiter brings blessings wherever he goes. This is actually the same energy of my aunt. And so what Jupiter is asking, Capricorn is all about constriction. Like I said, it's cold and it's old and it's pulling things in. But Jupiter is saying open up, expand, take more risks, take more chances. And so there's some area in our lives that perhaps we're contracted. We're holding fear. And Jupiter is asking us, look, move beyond that. Okay, so where can you expand? How can you expand, especially in a place where you are not expanded in your life? Saturn in Capricorn just brings the best energy to Capricorn. What's exalted in Capricorn? Mars in Capricorn will also bring amazing energy. It's very good in Capricorn. But Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn. And so what's important is that we understand that Capricorn has been restructuring us for a while. The South Node and Saturn have been in Capricorn, I'm pretty sure, since 2017. And so there's been some restructuring we've already been doing with Saturn. And now Saturn is just being highlighted and supported and interacting in a lot of ways. The other thing I want you to understand is that I've been talking about, well, at least in my inner circle, I don't know if I've said this everywhere a lot, but Saturn, it being in Capricorn, is beginning a new 30-year cycle. So we need to be thinking 30 years out, okay? What structures do we need to put in place to support us for the next 30 years? It's good that we're thinking about, January or all of 2020, and we need to think beyond because of where Saturn is. The structure you need to get you to where you want to be in 30 years, that foundation is being laid right now. Pluto is the great destroyer and transformer, and it indicates where we're working on our power. So trust me, Pluto is a lot of planets interacting with Pluto to include Saturn this year, and it will be about us embracing more of our power, shedding the old and stepping into the new from a place of power. K2, the South Node, is about releasing and letting go. So moving from one situation to a new one in detachment. We have Aquarius going on this month. I encourage you to be detached as much as you can so that you can move. There's an appropriate time to be detached. And this month, January might be that month. But it's also about releasing, letting things go. And so it's either do it or it'll be done. That's just how I see it, y'all. You can try to not let go of stuff you're not supposed to keep on. It'll just be taken from you. So these are some days that I wanted to highlight for you. January the 2nd, Mercury and Jupiter are going to be right there together in Capricorn. This will bring energy to our minds, and we'll be thinking about things that, man, I have control over this. I can make these kind of changes. And I encourage you to write all of this down. Lots of ideas coming to you. And it could be the 1st or the 3rd, something like that. Also, we could feel more positive. We could feel more optimistic. And our ideas may be enlightened. And you could also connect with the teacher or guru or higher teaching. So be open around that time, okay? That's what I'm doing this for, so you can be aware when this energy is right. This is what you need to be doing during that time, so you don't let the opportunity slip away. January the 10th, the sun is right there with Mercury, and it's actually at the exact same time as the eclipse. Mercury is a part of this eclipse, and Uranus is moving direct, because right now it's at the beginning of the month it's retrograde, but right around the 10th it will start moving direct. That's going to be an energetic day. And I say starting from around the 9th to the 15th, just expect that time to be very, very intense. Because it's not just one day. It might be conjunct on the 10th, but you really feel the energy like a day before and the day after, 1 to 2 days before or after with Mercury, because it moves so fast. But then January 12th to the 13th, there comes this time where Mercury is with Saturn and Mercury is with Pluto. The sun is with Saturn, the sun is with Pluto. And then Saturn and Pluto are together. Let me take a drink on that. I was telling the ladies this morning, it was all ladies, as far as I know. Looking at January, it was very hard for me to put this together, because it's overwhelming looking at some of these planets that are uniting. And this Saturn and Pluto conjunction is one that it takes my breath away when I think about it, because we have these, first of all, they're slow planets and they're very powerful, they're very intense. Saturn is about get real, make these changes, you're gonna live your karma out, right? Hard work. And Pluto is about transformation. Like Pluto is like burn this whole thing down, whatever we need to get rid of. Phoenix rising from the dust, from the ash, excuse me. This conjunction is actually about really things that will happen on the global scale, on the greater human scale. This is what my astrology teachers are saying. And so this is a time where all of 2020 is a time where this is going to be in effect and in play. And we'll notice things get a little bit rough with the powers that be. And, just the average man and woman might be feeling oppressed more than ever. And I encourage everybody to help one another out, to humanity should work together. The 99% should work together, because what is going to happen at the end of 2020 is Jupiter and Saturn will meet in Aquarius. And Aquarius is about the people. Aquarius is about an egalitarian society, a society where everyone is benefiting. But it won't be until, according to what I have heard, after the powers that be do everything they can to try to hold on to these horrible structures that are in place that, bring a lot of dictatorship and oppression of just average human beings. And I think our remedy for it is to help one another out. On the personal level, we just need to understand a change is coming within. A change is happening internally. And if we will embrace it, we will be better for it. This is an Oya month. I will share that with y'all at the end of the month. This is my second time doing this today, and I just feel emotional right now because the changes that are coming is going to land us in such a good place. We just need to go with. Okay. So I would say from the 9th to about the 15th, easily. Those are going to be some really, really intense days. So yeah, Sun conjunct Pluto happens once every 34 years. Oh, I did see that this one little part back here, sorry. This will produce major transformation, and it can bring out darkness in people. And that's why I said we need to show ourselves up with working with these Orisha and our ancestors. It's like, why are we going to be wanting to do all this work, learn about all these Orisha and the ancestors and do all of that, and we don't even have faith in them? This is what my aunt is teaching. Have faith in these higher powers. We need to have some faith in the power of our ancestors, in the power of Ogun, Herakuti, to surround us. Call on your ancestors of light, Herakuti, Ogun, your personal Orisha, whatever guides you work with, to surround you when you feel in this negativity surrounding you, okay? And also, we're being given an opportunity to transform negative thought and behavioral forms. Isn't that awesome? Why should we hold on to that mess, y'all? We're not holding on to that. We're not doing that. Where they doing that at? Not here. Not with you and me. Okay? No, ma'am. No, sir. Okay. Whew. So, done with Capricorn. Let's move on to Sagittarius. Energy will be in the month of January because Mars moves into Sagittarius. And I just sort of like how some planets bring up the rear. At first, Mars was moving into the sign first, and then the Sun, Mercury, Venus all caught up and passed it. Now it's bringing up the rear. It's in Scorpio as of this recording, but as of January 3rd, it will be in Sagittarius. And that's a great for Mars. It's going to help us bring up this Ma'atian energy where we need to be focused on some goals. I don't think we have to have every goal and everything just like perfectly in place. at the end of December, I think that we need to start. Every time there's Sagittarius season, we should be writing out goals for the new year. Okay. And January, with Mars being there, it'll give us an opportunity to think even more about what is it that we want to focus on. It'll help raise that vibration of where we need to be optimistic and have faith, and be expansive. And it'll actually give us the courage to do that now that I think about it. So yeah, where is Sagittarius according to your rising, your sun, and your moon signs? Again, I'm talking tropical zodiac, because I don't know where Mars is in the sidereal. So tropical zodiac, where is Mars in your chart? And you can see here what it's positive for: sports and athletics, business, sales, travel, international affairs, goals, teaching and learning. And Mars lets us know what we can focus on for like 6 weeks at a time, unless it's retrograde, which is going to be retrograde in 2020. Oh my God. Woo! Let me not think about that. It makes me very stressed. Okay. So, Venus is totally doing her own thing in January. So December 20th, Venus goes into Aquarius. I need to see something. I think I forgot to put something down. Okay. It goes into Aquarius December 20th through January 13th. And just like Aquarius energy, Venus is doing her own thing. She is not thinking about them. She's like, I've already done the Capricorn thing. I'm doing my own thing, because that's what Aquarius is all about. And we'll start feeling the shift. Once Venus goes into Aquarius, there's a lightness. There's she will bring a breath of fresh air, since Aquarius is a air sign. And she'll bring this energy of detachment, where we won't be feeling super emotional. Like I said, we shouldn't be. We have the opportunity to go more into a more detached state. And her focus is relationships, creativity, money, beauty, women's issues, and pleasure. And so we may want to hang out with our friends, like-minded people, go to, workshops, conventions, festivals, where people are doing things that we're interested in. It's like our vibe tribe. It's also a great time to implement social media campaigns, because Aquarius is about getting something out to the masses. Let's see here. And it may also be easier to achieve goals and be gainful through the support of others. So avail yourself. Oh, the other thing is, we may be more rational and objective when it comes to our relationships. We may just sort of feel not super huggy, touchy, and just can look at the relationship more from a practical place, like we did with Capricorn. Venus in Pisces is an excellent placement. Once she moves into Pisces, this will also bring a different vibe, a different energy, because it's about creativity, romance, and love, and music, and just this sensitivity. It's very relational, and she gives a lot. So if there's something you want to manifest, it's a great time to put it into operation or put it into motion during this time. I consider this a time for connecting with Oshun. Whatever Venus is doing, this is how you can connect with the energy of Oshun. Okay. So that's Venus, and this is bringing a different energy. And someone in the meeting said she knows the person who created these images of the Orisha. I couldn't find a good one of Mercury, so I decided to put old SU on here. Hey, old SU. So Mercury in Capricorn, which we've talked about that. And then Mercury moves into Aquarius on January the 17th. through February the 3rd. Around the 21st, I think, is when Mercury goes invisible. Oh, December 20th. Oh, January 28th. It goes invisible, which means that its power is a little weaker. We may have to work a little harder to make things manifest when it comes to communication and travel and making connections, learning, different things like that. But when Mercury moves in Capricorn, our minds will be grounded. In Aquarius, our minds will be like busy. This is another time where you may receive a lot of downloads. So keep that pen and paper handy. You might have to record some of them because they may come and go. So you may have to voice record them. It's also a great time to learn new things, to experiment. So I would just really encourage you to avail yourself to this Mercury in Aquarius. To me, Aquarius is a time to really tweak goals that we've set for ourselves. In the spring equinox, we can kick that off and really go full swing ahead because the energy is rising at that point with the equinox. And something that I came up with as I just thought about it all: see freedom in the change. Don't see the hard work as not being free, but see it as in the meantime or a means to an end. All the hard work that we're required to do, great perspective, because that's what my art is about. It's about having perspective. And you have to see all the little things that we have to do that are sort of like mundane and not fun as paths to freedom. And it's just in the meantime that we need to do this. Oh, I moved it too soon. So the sun starts off in Capricorn, and then it's going to be in Aquarius starting on January the 20th through February the 18th. And so by the end of the month, we're going to feel a little bit of lightness come through. And Aquarius is about detachment. And I really encourage you, if you're super emotional, tap into Aquarius and get detached. Because it's like, you know what? What's emotion really going to do? Is it really going to get me where I want to go? No. And trust me, Pisces is emotional. We'll be emotional during Pisces. We'll be emotional during Cancer season. We'll even be emotional during a crazy Scorpio season. I'm a Scorpio, so I can talk about it. But, if it's not time to be emotional, don't be emotional. Be detached and get her done. Something that I saw one of my teachers posted that made me think about this part of the presentation. It reads like this: who cares what people have to say about you? Let them think. Their words can't get in the way of what the universe has planned for you. This is what Aquarius can bring, because everybody knows Aquarius is a little detached. So it indicates a social time, connecting with big groups. Again, it's a time of connection, finding your vibe tribe. The other thing about Aquarius, with both Venus, Mercury, and the Sun, and whatever else goes in there, it's about progress. Aquarius is about, am I making progress? How can I make progress? I want more progress in my life, okay? So just know that will be something else that kind of comes up closer to once we start feeling this Aquarius energy. And it's also about learning and experimenting. And again, this is why I say you can tweak your goals. Maybe there's something new you want to try. You want to see, is it going to work? This is about technology, media, marketing. It's reaching big groups. So this is a time where if you have a business, you really want to get on your marketing game, okay? Very good for that. So we have, what did I do with my little thing? Intensification, again, on the 10th, Uranus goes direct. Uranus is about big changes. So You could see unexpected events a few days before and after with around that eclipse with Uranus going direct. And then there's a lunar eclipse on the 10th. And lunar eclipses are about endings and culmination. So you may see something manifest from hard work that you've done, plans that you've implemented and worked on. Or you might find that something comes to an end. There's a big change that happens and it's just over. That's what happens with eclipses. It's fated events, things that probably needed to happen. But yeah, you set it up in your chart to make it just go on ahead and happen with an eclipse. Again, we're taking responsibility. Try not to do, like we can take time maybe during Pisces or Cancer to have a little bit of a time where we get emotional and cry about things. But for the most part, this is not a time for that. It's a time just to be like, you know what? Yeah, I put this into place. I take full responsibility for what my life looks like. If I put myself here, I can put myself someplace else better. So the best way to approach January is with the awareness, which is what this whole whole wisdom sharing is about. Working with the energy. So we've talked about what it all means. So working with it intentionally and doing your spiritual practices daily. I would say people don't do their spiritual practices all the time, and they end up in a lot of situations where they're not happy. So the more we work our spiritual practices, we just will feel more in control. Yeah. Did I get it? Hold on one second. We got a runaway presentation here. Okay. So, I will do a special video on these, the full moon and the new moon. But just know this eclipse is in Cancer. And it's with the North Node or Rahu. And so that's the node of the moon, okay? And just what that means is that something can materialize, okay? With this eclipse, something can materialize, especially regarding a Cancerian theme, such as home, family, the emotional body, and food, okay? So, it's something positive for us, y'all. And then there's going to be a new moon in Aquarius, so we definitely want to be thinking about really using that Aquarius moon as a time to do some type of ritual that's about what we will be working on and setting that in place. And of course, all the things that Aquarius, mean, like where do you want to see progress in your life? That's a really good one in my opinion. I did come up with some suggested practices. I do want to say that this is posted in this presentation is posted in my inner circle, and you'll see the link below. But Ma'at and Oya are the energies that we're working with. And Oya is about everything that I talked about, especially with that Saturn and Pluto. So just know, y'all, we need to have perspective. We need to be ready to expand. We need to be ready to change, to release and change things. And so working with Oya and Ma'at is something I recommend for this month. I talked about creating new moon intentions. And this never leaves this presentation. I do this presentation once a month. And work with your ancestors, period. Now, you can be working with your ancestors regarding the changes that you're making and the hard work that you need. You can ask them for their support. And it's always important for us to work on keeping our energy clear, smudging, wearing crystals. That's another thing. I don't have on my crystals right now, but Capricorn has to do with rocks and crystals. And so this will be a great year to really get into using crystals more and more to balance the energy out. One of the remedies that my astrologer gave to me is visiting a place or having images of rocky deserts to channel the Saturn and Pluto energy so that you you have it channeled through this picture or going to this place so that it doesn't like wreck your life. So having images of rocky deserts or icy caves. Find a picture, print it out, put it up, go to the library, get a book, open the book, and set the book up in your house so that it can help to channel this energy through that picture, and it won't hit you so hard. I'm not saying it's like definitive, it won't hit you so hard, but this is a hack that you can potentially try to channel this energy. Okay. This month is an Earth month, and it's an air month. Capricorn and Aquarius. These are the primary energies. We do have a little bit of fire, a little bit of water, but mostly we're working with earth and air. So these are elements that you can hyper focus on working with. Earth, getting outside, air, doing breath work. It's lots of different things. And as you can see, I put some suggestions here. Now for the colors for the month, these are based on the Pathways Oracle. I chose white for healing. It's protective. It helps us to center, and it causes a positive light to emanate. White is the same as Obatala and joy, the Pathways Oracle joy. As well as gold for activation. Gold has unlimited potential emanating in its dynamic. And accessing gold invites stepping into other realms of awareness. It's also a remedy for isolation. So you wear white, or you wear gold, or you wear both to activate joy, to activate the remedy that we need to help move us out of isolation. Okay, these are all things that we can do. In the live, I chanted Akbe Obara, which helps to heal the womb. For those of us who have a womb, and it's, you were born with the womb, because I know some women maybe have had a hysterectomy, and so they don't have their womb in their body now, but they once had a womb. But those of us who have a womb, we can chant Akbe Obara. Even if you don't have a womb, just know that this chant is helping to bring healing to women's wombs. And when you heal a woman's womb, you heal the world. This is a chant that I got from my godmother, and it helps us to tap into our woman power, which we need. And also have your daily spiritual practice. It cannot be overstated. It cannot be overstated. So what's next? The question is, are you ready for 2020? I gave you the first installment. There's another 11 installments. And so, I just want you to know, we do not need to be walking around here blind. It's too much information age going on. It's too much wisdom out there. And so we have access to all these oracles and people who know how to interpret the oracles. And so going into such an important year without a roadmap, is just no need. And part of the reason there's no need is because I have mapped this out for you to help you to understand, what do I need to do to navigate 2020? What spiritual GPS can I use? And so, of course, I would like to tell you about that, give you more information, not now, but there is another wisdom sharing that I'm going to have on December the 29th that goes more into detail about how do we navigate 2020, right? And what I have come up with, what I think is, and it's based on my own experience. How have I been able to manage and stay pretty stable? Whereas before, I was not. I've used oracles for years, and it's only recently that I've begun to realize this is how folks move forward. It's all about understanding the cycles. So, I want to help you seek alignment with the cycles and get the most out of it. Step into the best you ever for 2020. So, and it's all with using the oracles. So I hope that you will sign up, for the December 29th wisdom sharing meeting. All right. And I will put it in the link below. It will be in the notes once you get them. But this is where you can go to sign up. And so, on behalf of, myself in the inner circle, I say thank you. I said thank you to all of you in the inner circle for allowing me to share this with everyone. I'm wishing us all a great 2020. There is a journal that goes with this. I'm not sure if, you have seen my videos on the journaling, but I create a journal and it's based on this wisdom roadmap, and it helps you to be able to write out what you need to do for January, what you need to focus on, how you're going to do it. Okay, this is Tyra Milade. Thank you so much. Please like the video, share the video, and please join me on December the 29th for the next wisdom sharing. I appreciate you. I love y'all. Take care.